Works or doesn't.
And we are live.
What does live mean?
We
We're
are
live on
streaming
LinkedIn.
in all
Hey.
the places.
Yeah.
Okay.
Barrett, it means that anything you say can and will be held against you now.
All right. Miranda rights have been read, so it's okay.
That's right.
Straight up, we are live. This will be forever on the web.
Well, and that's, I think, it's whoever said it first was brilliant when they said, I'm so glad that when I was younger, there was no social media to keep track of all the dumb things I've ever done.
No kidding. We were able to be
I'm
kids.
very grateful for that. Yeah, me and my wife talk about that all the time. Like, it's crazy, what we all were able to do and have a real childhood and kind of do some great stuff without social media standards. Like, you didn't know what your neighbors were doing. You didn't know what other kids didn't have. Like, it wasn't so. You had to actually meet people to find that stuff out. We were nosy little kids because we had to seek to understand, right? We had to know what was going on. Where nowadays you just hop in your bedroom and sit on the phone and there's all kinds of expectations or standards being thrown at you.
You just log into Roblox and there's all sorts of people there.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in like a small town where
Eric.
Hey. So, do you feel connects were or bonds were closer? When it was a non-technological childhood. Tom?
What was the question?
What was that?
Were bonds and connects closer when you didn't have all this technology, right? I didn't have any of this electronic stuff ages ago, and you had to talk to people, right?
Who's got the cops after them?
Who's got yo, where are you, Amir? Are you safe? Are you good?
It's Eric.
It's me. In your house, it's
Florida. You're in Florida, so.
That's
yeah.
Eric, blink twice if you need help.
I'm the worst thing out here. We'll be okay.
Tom,
we can tell.
That's an interesting question. So, I asked you about that, the outbound, and so how has sales progressed, or how does it look different now compared to what it looked like, say, I don't know, even 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
I started this journey in 2007. Right, I was working at Discover Card. I was working there, doing some stuff in their departments, and then I got into the corporate world. But it's unreal, what people have today to help them. Literally, companies are empowering you to do what you do best: book a meeting, close a deal, and all the mundane stuff that most of us had to deal with 10 years ago is just being completely removed out of your way, and you're able to lean into this technology. Where before, it was a real hustle. It was a real grind. Things were manual. If you wanted to send 100 emails a day, you better put in that work and send those out, right? Or you wanted to make 100 dials, you were twitting away on your fingers. Where now you could just sit down, put on a nice headset, get to the computer, and just have conversations. Yeah. Just talk to people and master your craft and learn the art of sales. Like all the other stuff that most of us had to, become equipped with is no longer necessary. So I think it's incredible. I would love to be I love being an SDR now. I still love prospecting and I still love being in the trenches because nowadays it's even more fun than, calling from a spreadsheet and a phone and actually having to manually dial the phone and pick up a spreadsheet and write all your notes and have notebooks after notebooks of notes. And that was what your system was. So it's crazy. That's what I have to say. It's wild. It's much easier.
Eric, when did you get involved in sales?
So the first cold call I made was in 2001.
Okay.
Really, Eric?
Yeah. And I was 20 and I was doing the consumer confidence index and I didn't know that was sales. Cause I do surveys, you know what I mean? But the sale was getting the person to do the effing survey for free.
Similar with politics. I did the same thing, calling and asking about political opinions and ideologies.
Oh, you did that?
I did,
wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So in terms of cold calling, it was 2001 with the survey lab. I did something 10 months doing that, 5 nights a week, 6 hours a night, nothing but calling people that said, never call me ever again. And those were the only people I called. And that gave me this fundamental in selling that it took me a while to understand it, but I basically became a plumber after that because I thought it was the quickest way I could own my own business and get people wealthy that worked for me. And in the plumbing, aside from all the digging and jackhammering, I was the person that would go give people the good news that they had to repipe their house. And I became really good at selling like the repipe or a remodel or whatever. So like the more I sold, the less ditches I had to dig. And so like there was a very real incentive for me. For B2B selling, that didn't really happen for me till like 2007 when I was in Portland and I ran a franchise of a company called 1-800-GOT-JUNK. And we were the people that come out and take the stuff out of your house when you want the clutter gone. And I specifically focused on commercial realtors in Portland and Seattle. And so like that became like my B2B trial by fire, is like I would be the dude walking in with a clipboard trying to sweet talk them into letting me come up to the actual executive meeting like they're live right now. And like I got good at getting people to let me just walk in and pitch to them and building those relationships that way. And then on the back end, Google Ads and analytics and all that stuff was starting to really come to the front. So at my franchise level, I was having to run all of our sales and marketing out of that. And so like it wasn't SaaS, but it was B2B and B2C at the same time. And so I kind of got this like crash course in how to grow a business with sales, like from every angle between
That's
those
so
years.
cool, Eric. I didn't know that story. 1-800-GOT-JUNK is awesome.
I know. I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, you've got like a real superhero origin story.
Thanks.
He's Ronin. That's why he's Ronin, man. That's the whole. I mean, that's why. That's crazy.
What about you, Barrett? What's your sales journey?
Yeah, I studied chemistry, got a master's in chemistry and went into engineering, and was doing plastics engineering for injection molding and blow molding for a giant megacorp. And then life took a turn. I went to South Africa for a year, working for them, doing soap bars all over Africa, and then came back. And I was just like, I'm not meant to do this. There's something.
I know that about you, Barrett. I would never have known.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. Yep. So then I kind of just hit the life reset button in 2015 and took about 5 or 6 years just traveling around, trying to sort out like what exactly I wanted to do and how much of the technical analytical engineering stuff I wanted to bring into it. But I've always I did a lot of full-time Lyft driving, and not for the money even. I just wanted to see the city that I was living in at the time, and I loved just having random conversations with people in the back seat. It was like taxi cab confessions. Like I had no idea who was getting in and what they were gonna do, where they were coming from, where they were going, and it was just like
I did that for 3 years, Barrett.
What's that?
Yeah, I did it for 3 years. Right?
Yeah. What was your experience?
Man, I did over 2,500 rides, and it allowed me to get really good at my craft in sales. Like straight up, being able to pitch and talk to people and ask the same kind of discovery questions, but in 50 different ways, right, throughout the day, and just meeting people. And some crazy opportunities too. You just kind of network with a ton of people that are coming in town through the airports. And then you get some weird ones. But you're right. Taxi cab confessions is a real thing, y'all. You will trust your driver because you think you will never see them again. And the things that people will do in the car, the phone calls they will make, like the things that occur between couples, like Barrett, for real. It's a wild ride. I enjoyed it every minute. I know it sucks to drive those many hours, but I had a thrill. I love meeting people and getting out of the house.
And my version of that was being a bouncer. Where those skills really crystallized for me was like when you talk about like Justin Michaels' route, ruin, multiply, right? Like ruin for me was if I don't convince this person that they shouldn't pick a fight with me, then I personally have to kick their ass and watch them go to the hospital and or jail. And so like there's like this whole like vested interest. So like creating the mutual alignment about solving the problem of them behaving in such a way that they leave the place on a stretcher or in handcuffs became like we mutually aligned about how to fix that together, you know? So like asking those good questions.
Do you Salesforce, bro, is what you should have asked.
So what we're saying here, y'all, real quick, for those that are watching, is what we're saying is some of the best salespeople or marketers and people out there don't actually have those traditional SaaS backgrounds, right?
Yep.
They're coming from different walks of life, right? Like, it's gritty. One of the best people I ever worked with was a windshield guy at a car wash. Brought him in, hired him, and he went on to be the best rep in the company because of the grit and hustle of learning how to hustle people at your car wash. Hey, you got a crack in your windshield. Let me help you. In 120-degree weather in Arizona, right? So it's crazy to see that, like, these doors that people are putting up and these boundaries to not let people in. Because I'm hearing one's doing share and building soap in Africa, and the other one's a bouncer and selling 1-800 junk. Josh is coming from teaching. Jesse, I don't know your story. I don't know if I know it.
I came out of politics.
Oh, that's right. You were saying you were politics. That's right. And you were, calling politics, right? So, and look at all the skills we've all learned that now have allowed us to succeed in what we do here in sales.
I mean, I've already, always had a sort of tech background, be it multimedia or design or, doing 3D stuff and everything. But I've been with computers for all of this while. So it's not been, purely away from tech, but it's been like 10 years with mostly startups, SaaS, and, project management and all that stuff. But I would say the industry is pretty welcoming of anyone who wants to learn and grow, right? It doesn't, sales is the most welcoming thing I've seen, frankly.
Well,
I used to think,
everybody sales.
I used to think badly of salespeople. I'll be very frank, because of that movie impression, The Wolf of Wall Street, and so you all changed that impression, right? You all been so welcoming of everyone, regardless.
Why did you have that impression of salespeople, Amir?
All those calls, all the spam. I think it's like what Marcus Corky says, or what people say these days, right? Do that ethical selling and to the right people. If you just hammer out blasts of calls to people who don't really need your product or your service, you're just gonna annoy them, right? And that's what goes on in people's minds. But they don't realize the hard work that the caller needs to make, or the person doing the emailing, etc. Not talking about the spam email, obviously, all that Nigerian prince stuff, and
or speaking of which, Amir, your car's extended warranty, it has expired, and I get that one, and people calling me for Medicare constantly, and I'm like,
constantly.
I would love Medicare, but I'm not old enough, and so can we please, can you research, or what is the email or the LinkedIn message I got yesterday was asking me if I needed help setting meetings for my B2B company. And I'm like, I was nice to the guy. I just said, hey, I'm not your target audience for this. But I was like, you could have taken a minute to go check out my LinkedIn profile, since you obviously targeted me off LinkedIn. You could have gone to see that, number one, I'm in no way a decision maker for buying, products or software. And also what you're selling is not relevant to what I'm doing anyway. Which is an interesting, somebody yesterday made the comment that sales does not require any eloquence at all. And I was like, well, sure it does, in your approach to people. And he goes, no, and he didn't say it to me. He said it to someone else who is a very successful, she owns a very, very successful business. And so if you're a business owner, you understand sales very well. If not, you're not going to stay in business. But, he's like, no, you just need a script. You don't need anything else. And I was like,
No, and that you brought up a really important topic for sales and marketing, and it's understanding your audience. Knowing who you're talking to, and that's whether it's one-on-one in a sales cold call, or whether I'm running ads to millions of people. So it really comes down to understanding who they are, what are their values, what makes them tick, what time are they on what device, all these things. That information is out there for us. And we basically, need to utilize it to our advantage, but then also be human, because at the end of the day, data only goes so far. So, if I want to connect with someone, I need to understand them and close my mouth and open my ears, because that's really what it comes down to, is learning about them.
So we've got a great topic today for everyone. Sales and marketing alignment. Why does sales and marketing always quarrel?
I thought it was live, laugh, love.
Yeah,
But
You're always
here
going
to
rogue around here, man.
Yeah.
Why are you always going rogue?
so we're here to break down those walls, right? That's what we are
Okay.
doing.
Can
Well,
I start?
Yep. Live, laugh, love together, sales and marketing.
Yeah, well, and that's
Boom.
what Amir was like, we should call it Sassy Saturday, which was brilliant. So I went to go
That
change
needs
the name.
Amelia.
Yeah, I was going to do Sassy Saturday, where we learn to live, laugh, and love, but then LinkedIn won't let you change the name of your broadcast that you're putting out yet. So, you know,
We'll do that next
LinkedIn,
time.
if you're listening, you need to fix that.
You need to fix your stuff, man.
Yeah, they're technologically in 2012 still. But the really funny thing about sales versus marketing, and here goes, is it's the exact effing same process. It's the same process. It's just at different points in time. And anyone who doesn't know that sucks at either, respectively. And anyone that needs to like lord over it as their own territory, that person is a middleman. That's what they are in their career. And they're gatekeeping and holding off this little piece. Like, the first thing I did when I took over a sales organization where they told me your directive is modernize our sales was I said, who's your marketing team? And they're like, it's this one person. And I'm like, oh God. So I go find this poor put upon woman in this company who's like buried in paperwork and in this little bunker doing all this stuff. She's like, you're the first person from the sales department to come talk to me. You know what I mean? Like, wow. Literally the first one. Like, all I ever get are emails complaining, like, where's my leads? Where's more leads? And I told her straight up, I was like, I get the leads. I'm a salesperson. You make people care about me talking to them with your marketing. Like, that's the point. Like, so it's the same process. That's my big thing, is it's the same process.
Eric, you're a marketer. Eric, you're a marketer.
I'll take it.
He does it all. He's the business owner.
This is amazing, Eric. You know, and this is what I think as an outsider to sales, right? That there's no need for this, you know, sort of an ego struggle between teams, or you know, siloing between teams as well. Marketing does this, sales does this. There's no absolute need for that. Work together to, you know, drive you know, advocacy towards the customer as well as revenue for the company. That's the main goal for everyone.
Can I tell you the only real silo, though? It's bigger than the sales versus marketing, and we already covered it here, is good versus bad business activity always breaks down to the following: whether they're focused on them or you, and people can tell, right? And so, like, if we were to think about breaking that one silo, which is, does the company care about them and not me, or do they care about me and therefore they do well too? And if you think about like winning by design, talking about impact on the other side of the revenue bow tie as opposed to the funnel, they always talk about how if your product allows your customer to succeed, you have built your business so that your success then grows. There's a mutual success. And in the case of this silo about them versus me, it breaks my heart to say this, but it's true. Like, I'm wearing the Trailblazer hoodie, right? I run a Salesforce instance. I deploy Salesforce for people. Guess what happens every single time I sign up for an effing webinar from Salesforce? I get a call from a BDR at Salesforce. And I love Salesforce and I love BDRs. So what do? I get on the phone with them and I go, I wish you could understand that I already friggin' have Salesforce, that there's no universe where you should ever be calling me. And what that speaks to is that Salesforce, though they're amazing and I love them, the ugly other side of it is they're entirely focused on what's good for them. That's all they give a shit about. They're not focused on what's good for me, because if they were, they would be sending me stuff about optimization and new features or anything at all useful to me besides friggin' calling me and asking me if I would consider installing Salesforce while I'm sitting here in my Salesforce instance with an admin's knowledge of the fact that they have metadata. And if anyone on earth should know whether or not I have Salesforce, it's GD Salesforce.
Agreed.
This reminds me of what Jesse and I were talking about yesterday. I'm not trying to pitch my company at all, but like there was an aha moment
pitch your company,
in the conversation.
Pitch it, bro.
It was like people come in through marketing. You don't know who they are until they give you their name. And then afterwards, once they're onboarded into a product, there's this black hole Like, what button are they clicking? Are they somebody that came in through our marketing funnel previously? Can we target them differently? And that's where I was just like, oh, there's real problems out there that are annoying people. And so it's exactly the same problem that you just described.
And I look forward to talking to you guys in a couple of weeks. Like, we're already in there booked, man.
I just never even thought about it from like the perspective that you presented, us versus them. Like, it's making sure that we're not just badgering somebody after they've already signed up to use us and join us. And so it's just the marketing use case, or when we're talking about marketing and sales, it's like, what are we doing? What are we driving for? And if we're driving for revenue together, then we can work together. And then how we go out and do that with the customer can be talked about. But if we're both driving for different what's, like MQLs versus SQLs, and then there's a whole nother funnel under that, which is booking for closed revenue, everybody's, even internally, is thinking about themselves versus serving the customer. But if you drive to the same target, which is revenue, then you can start talking, which is the what, then you can start talking about the how do we go do that. Oh, let's stop talking about us and think what our customer is going through. Like, once they come through our marketing side, can we track that they're actually onboarded into our product? And then when we go market them with more material, let's not start them at the beginning again. Let's talk to them about the context that they're coming from.
So two things on that, and I don't mean to. Two things on that. One, I don't mean to pitch it, but that's what Ronan Prasar is doing with Stylo, right? And what Stylo does is listen to the feedback and your ticket system and your entire customer support side for you to actually seek to understand your customer base and build out those personal journeys. Like you said there, right? Like, Eric is getting an entire different sequence and kind of messaging versus somebody that has no idea what Salesforce is, right? You see it on LinkedIn all the time. People would be like, SDRs call up and try to pitch somebody, and they're like, dude, I'm a user of your product, or in your files, I was. Like, you don't have to re-pitch me. I know what you do. Just talk to me. Why are you calling me?
Yep.
So you have to research, right? I go by the 3 R's: research, relatability, and relevancy.
Boom.
If you hit those pillars in all of your messaging and your cold call scripts and everything you do, you can't go wrong, right? Because you've done your research, you're relevant, you know why you're calling, and you're being relatable with why you're even bringing in that trigger. People say all the time, I saw your LinkedIn post, and say some bullshit and then hit their value prop. And it's like, if that trigger doesn't match your value prop, then don't even use it, right? If you're going to bring in that I'm a surfer or I like hunting, make it about your product, right? Build a story. But don't just tell me you love that you saw me hunting and then, go right into this random value prop. And the third thing, or the second point I was trying to make, is you're actually kind of hitting on what I've really found a passion in, is community. You should be building communities within your company. And when you understand that Eric could be a very important part of Salesforce ecosystem in that community function, right? Those ambassadors, those evangelists, and then you get your customer base talking and building that tribe. Now you're actually winning together. There is no more SQLs, MQLs. You're working together. You're getting referral business, and you're working a tribe within your org of evangelists. Look at Eric and how much he puts out there for Salesforce branding. Right? Why is that? Because at his core, he freaking loves them, right? There's something that triggers and makes a connection for him that he feels that close to Salesforce. Same with Bedex, right? How is Jessie building her marketing? Is that we're all fans of Bedex. I don't care. Bedex. Sorry, see, I'm already messing it up.
Okay.
I'm part of that tribe, right? She is making a small micro community for that company.
Thank you. I'm trying. And Josh too.
Josh is building, right, community and a tribe of these amazing women and empowering these young girls. And that is going to be the most powerful tribe that's going to make disruption this year. That in 5 years, these women are going to come and Josh is going to be like uncle of the year, right? Like taking care of these boss ladies. And that's what you want to build.
Uncle of the year.
Well,
that's hilarious.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure that when I get old, and I have to be put somewhere, somebody will put me somewhere.
I love it. You're just trying to get those funnels out there so someone will square you up. That's smart.
Yeah, but
get the funeral home squared away, the retirement home, get them all.
That's right. I need to go to Florida. But so Tom, I think it's really important, kind of what you said earlier about, you find something relevant. Hey, Tom, I saw you posted yesterday about, those success, finding those wins in sales and celebrating those. And so, hey, do you want to buy my stuff? And
Right.
so it's, you find something relevant, like when I, cold called Amelia, which was my very, very first one, because
Yes.
I opened my mouth to Samantha and I was like, I've never, you know what? I'll make a cold call and you can rip it apart. She's like, all right, we'll put your money where your
Done.
mouth
Do
is.
it.
And I was like, oh God. But so opening that call with, hey, Amelia, I saw that your book, congratulations on that. That's awesome. And then start
Right.
asking those questions. And I think that's where a lot of people probably need the most help, is that bridge between that opening to, trying to book that meeting, because it's that, how do I create that conversation that wants them to, at least that curiosity, and wants to spend that time with my company, instead of, hey, I saw your LinkedIn post, and oh, by the way, do you want to buy my stuff?
So yeah, go
Right.
Amir,
You can't
sorry.
do that. Yeah. Go ahead, Amir.
Go for it, Eric.
All I wanted to say was that don't even focus on thinking about when to get them to buy your stuff. Focus on getting them talking and then listen to them. So
Yes.
like every single
Yeah.
sale that I close goes this exact way. I get them talking about why they're talking to me, because I don't know why they're talking to me. I just know why I want to talk to them. So what am I going to do? I'm going to say, why do you want to talk to me? And they'll go, oh, I have this thing that keeps happening and I'm trying to fix it. Great. So then when I send them a proposal, guess what the proposal looks like? It's literally their own words describing what they wanted to solve and my plan based on their words. Do you know that every single person I send a proposal to says the following? No one's ever listened to me before on a sales call. That's why we're going to buy this from you. People think sales is talking and it's listening. And the only other thing I wanted to say on the community thing was, I am about to roll something live where I'm going to put competitors down in a community next to my solution, so that the people as potential clients coming in see naturally that the entire focus of the community is benefit to them, not me. And the way that I hedge against that revenue loss is channel partnerships. So like if you guys aren't following Alan Adler and Jay McBain, for example, there's all this awesome go to ecosystem stuff. So if you know about the bow tie, right? Like when I'm putting a client into a community, I want that client to know that there's 5 solutions that are people that I've vetted that I know aren't scumbags, that are my peers in this industry that I love and respect. So like, I'll give you a great example. It's Eddie Bannum, right? Like Eddie does the same thing that I do for different people and in his own cool way. Do I ever think about it like, oh, Eddie's going to try to eat my sandwich? No. If it's really my sandwich, Eddie's my friend and he won't try to eat it. But there might be times when both Eddie and I are hungry. So you know what's going to happen? Now we have a way where in an outcome in the past, we were going to get 0 bites of sandwich, i.e. the customer 0 sums to one person or another. Now Eddie and I have a relationship where I say, hey, man, this person isn't for me. They want to roll from Salesforce to HubSpot. So what I'm going to do is get their Salesforce all buttoned up to export and pretty and ready for Eddie to work with. Call Eddie up and say, hey, bro, Chacho, I've got these people that want to pull HubSpot. And he goes, hey, great. And we have a channel partnership. And so like the whole point is we've focused our entire productivity and outcome around the customer. So in community, what that looks like is they don't have to take my word for it that I'm trying to push them into Salesforce. This isn't a car lot. This is, they're walking through the park and there's these cool people they can talk to. It's like being at like a craft beer festival. They're like, I know I want a beer today. I don't know which beer I want. And everyone there that makes the beer knows they like beer and they like people who like beer, and that they don't play the game like, oh, if they don't drink my beer, then I lost and fuck everybody else. Like, that's not what we're doing here. It's about the customer, not about the seller.
Hey, I have to take off, y'all. It was so good seeing you. I'm going to the Renaissance Festival with the fam, so I'm going to be out for a bit. But love seeing y'all. I'm glad I finally made it out to one. But have a great day, everyone.
Go eat a big turkey leg.
Turkey legs.
I am. I'll get a good picture for you too, Eric. I'll make sure. I'll get you. I'll send it to
Are you going to dress up in a silky blouse?
No.
No.
Some tights. You're going to go jousting?
Nope. You know, I would make a good Joker, though. I'm not going to lie. I have thought about a Halloween costume as a good Joker. I could pull it off. But no, I'm going normal today. Just normal. It's my first time. I've never been. So it'll be fun.
Throw tomatoes.
But,
great to see you, bud.
Yes. See you guys. Have a great day.
Bye.
So, and you know, Eric, you brought up this great point. So customer success and customer support is also oriented towards the same thing, right? You listen to their feedback, get their feedback. Now, when you do project management with the customer, right, you listen to them, note down the minutes and see what needs to be done in that project, right? You don't do all the talking. Yes, you talk, right? What you do in project management is ask questions, right? That's active listening. And I noticed, it's done in sales as well. I didn't know that before. So
It should
active
be.
listening so active listening is essentially repeating what you said. So if Jesse said something, I would say, okay, is this what you want? Maybe as a question or as a repetition. And I note it down as well, right? I think sales notes down stuff as well. And at the end of the meeting, you give it to the customer and everyone's happy. You pass on, all that feedback to the product team. But at the end of the day, CS or marketing or sales, they all work in alignment. That's the main thing.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's I've seen several times, especially from the the CS or CX side, is that they're like, it comes down to the customer. If you don't have a customer, then you don't have business. And so you see a little friction in sales and marketing, and often the whole CS is completely out of it, when at the end of the day it starts with marketing and then goes to sales and then goes to customer success. So why are we not including all three teams in the customer experience, like meetings or setup, so that we're talking, everybody is sharing information and everybody is sharing where improvements can happen. And so I think that communication needs to happen. And so, which makes me curious, Jesse, as somebody that's like knee deep in marketing, where do you see that marketing and sales can kind of come into alignment?
That's a really great question, Josh. I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think that we've kind of alluded to a lot of it. I think Eric's done a really great job in explaining a lot of it. And it really just comes down to that relationship building, right? So we got to work together. How are we going to build that relationship so that we can not just bring in MQLs? Like sometimes the word MQL or like the acronym MQL like pisses me off. Let's bring in some MQOs. Let's get some marketing qualified opportunities. And I think all too often that it was just, we're right now in a really big shift. I think that's what's confusing everybody. So I was telling our team even not too long ago at BDEX that 2022 marketing is already different than 2021 marketing. Yeah. And 2021 marketing was already different than 2020. And everything's way different than just 2017 and 2015. So like, let's take that philosophy and that mindset, and let's throw it in the garbage, because it's no longer good. And I think that's when sales and marketing will start to come together, because the 2015, 2017 sort of method was sales runs everything and marketing produces, and marketing does what sales needs. And that is still a lot of the case, and it still should be. Marketing is there to support sales. Marketing needs things from sales. We need to hear the customer. We need to understand those conversations and those pain points so we can create things that will be beneficial to sales. And we do still need to do that part. I'm not trying to say that, but marketing has, I don't want to say a larger ear out there, but we have a bigger feeler. We're working with a larger audience. We can see what's happening in different ways that you're not seeing when you're tunnel visioned prospecting. And there's different messages that resonate with a larger audience than with a smaller audience. And you have to work together to sort of bridge that gap and be able to put yourself in the other person's shoes, right? So sales needs to be able to put themselves in my shoes, understand what I'm doing, and that they don't know what they don't know. And I need to put myself in their shoes, understand what they're doing, and be able to put my ego aside so I can say, I don't know what I don't know. Because at the end of the day, saying I don't know is a strength. Yeah. And once we can all say, I don't know, and we can get past our vulnerabilities, then we can grow and do some real things. So I think it's, all of those things. I think it's shifting this whole mindset from 2015 growth, 2017 growth, 2021 growth. Throw it out the window. We're in 2022 now. Things are different. LinkedIn rules if you're in B2B. I know there's so many businesses out there and employees out there getting in trouble. And I've been a marketer, for in B2B since like 2015, 2014. And so I've been doing LinkedIn since then. And, now we see salespeople taking it over. Salespeople run LinkedIn. But marketing still needs to be there. And more importantly, leadership needs to be there. And I would say that's the most important. And we all need to be our own authentic selves, representing the business and trusting each other to represent the business in an online capacity. Because again, it's 2022. Yes, the pandemic's ending, but we're going to be keeping a lot of these new norms that we've adopted in the last few years.
Well,
So
and
three things about that one. So one, many leaders are still hesitant, right? I see a lot of startup leaders come up and present themselves, and it does really well for their brand. You see a lot of sales and marketing leaders come up to LinkedIn. We know all of them actually, right? All of this group knows Mark Young, Saad. Talk Zoe. Talk about anyone, right? And you'll know that Breezy is there, or name anyone, any sales or marketing leader, they are there, and you recognize them because they are putting themselves out there. But I think it's just a fraction of the number of companies who are just not doing this or not getting the LinkedIn game.
well,
That's one thing. Go on, Josh.
Well, I was gonna, it's interesting you say that because I mean, number one, especially from the marketing standpoint, if you're paying attention on LinkedIn, you're able to see, who, the targeting is better because you're able to see those pain points that people are talking about, so you can really create that marketing campaign really around that, which makes it easier on the sales. And the other thing that has really surprised me in when I'm doing, all these interviews with these wonderful, successful professional women is several have said, "Hey, don't put the video up on LinkedIn because my company doesn't, they're not hip with it." And it really surprises me because there's nothing that's being said on there that is like inappropriate, or and in a lot of cases the company might not be mentioned. But if I owned a company and I have somebody that is, bringing a positive message, that only looks good on the company, at least in my mind. And so, you get people that are really, especially when they're giving their knowledge and wisdom and experience and people are learning from it, and then they can see what company they worked for, then you almost become a champion for your company and draw people to the company.
That is insane. You see, the entire Refine Labs team is online all the time, right? And they are the most visible company. You see Gong, everyone's online and pushing. They're not always pushing Gong, right? They're pushing their own brand.
Exactly.
And people know. So I know Saad, for example, is a friend now, but before I knew him as a friend, I knew he was from Dooley, right? Or Mark or anyone. You know those people as people, right? But they also represent their brands, and it's so important for a company to be visible. And if companies don't allow their employees to be on, I think they're doing themselves as a big disservice.
And so one thing to really look at with that, okay, is I'm going to name two really specific people and companies: Ryan Scalara, who pivoted out of Dooley, and Sarah Brazier at Gong. And first with Ryan. So Ryan Scalara is a case study in why it makes sense to enable your individual employees to leverage both your brand and their brand. You know why? Ryan quit Dooley. He said he was quitting Dooley publicly. He's like, I'm emotional about this. I'm leaving Dooley. I'll always have a place in my heart for them. I have another opportunity that's more in line with my mission now, and that's what I'm going to do. Guess what Ryan posts about still to this day? Dooley, and how you should love Dooley, and how he loves Dooley, right? And that's not fake. And what Dooley got out of that is Ryan could be 5 jobs later and he's still going to love Dooley because they understood the value of that support.
But I mean, I agree with that statement, but I think it's also about the bonds and culture that Dooley built within all of those people within the company. Not everyone does that, right? Most of them don't care, right? Is what I see.
Well,
I saw a very surprising thing today in a dark social group that one company was suing their employees for posting somewhere and leaving negative reviews on Glassdoor. That's insane. It's a huge red flag, right? Why
yeah.
would I mean, no one would want to go work for that company now.
Yeah, but so you have to understand that there's an addiction to raw, vulgar power. And it could be thought of as this addiction to power is very much like the Wall Street people's addiction to cocaine in the 80s and now still. But those companies are drunk and high on their belief in their own power. And the only way they feel powerful is by pushing against someone else. And it's always punching down, right? They don't feel powerful fighting another giant company. They would never come after another giant company that way, but they want to assert this hegemony over an entire ecosystem of people through these totalitarian tactics. Look at Google going, you're all going to go back to the office. And the reason that they feel comfortable doing that is because they know that other companies, shitty ones I might add, are going to say, great, we can do that horrible thing too that Google's doing. And I'm not trying to make it as simplistic as like remote equals good, in office equals bad. But what I will say is if you're sitting there giving these edicts from on high to whole communities of people that are enforced through punishment at scale, then I can't wait for the day to watch you fall. And like, I will do everything I can to bring it down, you know?
So here's what I've said and noticed before, right? It's about choice. I've loved working remote all my life. I had to work a couple of years in a bad situation, is what I'll say. It wasn't fun, right? It's not for me. Some people love hybrid work and some people prefer that human contact, right? They'll sit in the office, do those, water cooler chats and everything. They might like that. But it's not for everyone, is all I say, right? Their preference different, my preference different, and you can't club everyone in the same group and all of you got to come there. That doesn't work. Barrett, what do you think?
I mean, I think I shared like my thoughts about that stuff is just like just because you have in the ship chat in a weird way a couple days ago, which is just like it like help people, like help people be themselves, even if they're doing something that's off color or unskilled. It's just like the punching down is just like extend a hand. And so how, because then if you, I don't know, there's something just about giving people what they want. It breeds loyalty. Otherwise there's like a vengeance or a it's like it's a relationship built off of a resentment rather than just like, oh my goodness, these guys are giving me the freedom to be who I want to be, I'm going to give them back. And so there's like a taking or a transactional relationship established with punching down or putting people on blast. And I'm just not about that at all. So like at a core, I try to practice my values, and so I align myself with companies and people that also do that.
One question, Barrett. Where's the rooster? Joking.
Oh, the
So
the
Barrett
rooster
has a
downstairs. Yeah, I'm up in the kids' room, so that's why I've got you as kind, you as smart, you as important.
So
I've got like, the places you'll go.
I thought you had that because we were doing Live, Laugh, Love. I don't know if you guys saw
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I posted. It was
Yeah,
all about
so laughing.
This is just synchronicity.
Laughing time.
We should have started out with our caramel macchiatos.
My son's learning drawing, so he asked permission to stay up late, and he's been sketching all along. He's looking up at me curiously, thinking, what the heck's going on over here.
We should do a caricature of Steve. That would be really good.
Which Steve?
Reeves.
Oh, me.
Eric Steves.
Yeah, won't be the first or last time.
Well, he would get the whole like contour of the. I mean, his hair is fantastic. Not nearly as good as Tom's.
Let me do this. Could you come here for a second? Come here. Come here. Don't be shy.
It's only
let me. Yeah, it doesn't matter, right? So come over here. So this is Barrett. That's Eric. They're my friends. Jesse and Josh. Now, can you draw Eric tomorrow? No? Okay. Go on with you. Oh, well. You're going to learn soon. So he's been, really... I love it. I love seeing kids do things, right? He didn't know drawing 2 weeks ago, right? I just shared how to do some sketching and stuff. And he's been trying his heart out doing this stuff, drawing trees, sketching, perspective, all that. And he's made progress in the past 2 week, which is amazing to me because now I don't know as much, as simple as that. And it's that encouragement that we give to people is all I always say, right? It doesn't matter if it's my son. Anyone should be encouraged and motivated to succeed, right? That's you just give them a push in the right direction.
Are you a encouraging and motivated strategic speaker? Is that going on your resume?
Yes, and I hear a lot of teachers are asking about you, Josh. They seem to hate you these days.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I said, well, I can post this criticism because teachers won't eat their own, but apparently that's not true. You know, and honestly, it's the status quo for a while seemed to be as absolutely uplifting and positive as you can with no realistic or actionable feedback. There's no And so nobody was providing like a call to action, a CTA for this to say, hey, hey, I know you've applied to 500 places, but don't you worry about it because those jobs, they are right around the corner. And the problem, as Amir, you've said, yeah, all those jobs are right around the corner for the right people that do the work to get those jobs. And so, it's I don't want to say the blind leading the blind, but if you're not getting any like feedback that says, hey, here's how you can find change, rather than doing the same thing over and over again that gets you the same results, then it's not doing anybody a favor by saying, hey, hey pal, don't you worry, don't you change a thing, you be you, and one of these days something good will happen for you.
But here's the problem, right? I posted about this a few days ago. The teachers are in an echo chamber, or other people are in echo chambers of their own. They get into LinkedIn and they are in their own circles. Not just talking specifically about educators right now.
Mhm.
So they'll connect to all of the teachers there. And when someone writes, "Hey, this is good for me," without any experience or quantification or anything, the rest of them, not all, right, some of them in that circle will go, okay, this is right for me because I like it. And when I won't name any names, but other people who have been through the education journey, who are successful in tech, say, hey, this is not the right way to do things. They'll say, okay, no, you're wrong. But
Yeah.
they're not wrong.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and you don't. How come? Here's my question: is like you don't get blocked. I get blocked. Like I say something, and they're like, "Josh is being mean. We're gonna block him because we don't like the things he." And it's not. It's not like I'm saying anything mean. I'm just saying, like, number one, I said to evaluate your circle. If you want to be, it doesn't matter what it is. If you want to be customer success, if you want to be in marketing, if you want to be in sales, if you want to be, project management, and which every teacher's a project manager. It's you need to get that mentorship and guidance, and you're surrounding yourself with those people that are successful in areas that you want to be at.
Okay, everyone needs guidance. If I were to go to for sales guidance, I don't know about sales, I would probably talk to Barrett. If I wanted to know anything at all about Salesforce, I know Eric's our guy, right? And I point people to Eric, right? For marketing, I'll say, go to Jesse or my other marketing friend. Someone who wants to do growth marketing, I'll say, go to Anuj. He's another, top marketer. You want SDR training, I say, go to Tom. But that's the way people connect people. I won't give the wrong advice. SDR training, go to Josh here. That doesn't work.
So
I-
there's a thing
You mean
that
Kellen,
comes.
right? No, I'm kidding.
There's a thing
Yeah.
that comes from Keenan and gap selling that everyone on LinkedIn really needs to hear because it applies to not just salespeople. And it goes like this: no one gives a shit about you.
Mhm.
What can you do to help me? Okay. And so there's a thing that I always try to, like, when I'm first talking to someone who asks for advice about this stuff, I let them in on my painful journey with my brand on LinkedIn, which goes something like this. I have very, very, very famous people in sales that everybody here knows who they are. talking to me in my DMs going, wow, you said this thing that blew my mind. Do you want to be on my podcast? Right? And I'll be like, okay, cool. I'll be on this podcast. Then I get bumped. And I say, oh, why did I get bumped? And then when I look who I got bumped for and I look at who's on the slot where I would have been, I'll tell you exactly what it is. Okay. It is that person has a bigger impact for a larger audience than I do. It isn't that I buy into the guru mindset that like higher follower count equals more credibility or anything like that. It's about potential impact. And here's the reality. The double-edged sword for me with the Ronin brand is that I'm a change agent. I'm my own unique vector that's on the outside looking in. And for those that I work with, I can have tremendous and massive impact. But for those who don't get it, I'm not for them. So what that means is there are going to come times when people look at what I do and say, I don't understand what this person does or how they help me. So it's a constant struggle on my part that's the thing I have to work on more, is that I can get on a call and someone can understand why they're going to do business with me. That's no problem. The LinkedIn profile needs to be to help them understand why they would ever want to get on a call with me or have me on the podcast. And that's the thing people totally miss about LinkedIn is they say, I'm going to tell the story of my why. I have 3 kids. I don't want to live in my car. It's like, no shit. None of us don't want to live in our car. Like, you're going to have to do better than that. Like, I'm not going to sit here and go, I'm the perfect salesperson for people that don't enjoy being set on fire. It's like, we all agree that we don't enjoy being set on fire. How are you going to help me not get set on fire? That's the connection that people miss, is like, what do you actually do and what problem do you actually solve? And used to be a teacher doesn't solve a single goddamn problem for one soul on this earth. It has to be something besides that.
You're gonna piss off a lot of people today, Eric. But
yes. You know what? On that point, and kind of transitioning in terms of pissing people off, Josh, what I think you're doing really, really well is just that. It's like on LinkedIn, yes, when you're posting, you want to add value and give people education and add value to their life. You're not just like posting about yourself and selling. Yes. But in the comments, and people are discussing and having opinions, it's okay to have an opinion. In fact, I'd say it's good to have an opinion, and you don't have to just like agree with everything everyone's saying, because the fact that you do have an opinion about this and you're like, hey, I think it's okay to go get an internship and work my way into business and transition so that I can learn and have this time. Just that in itself, like that triggers activity and it triggers thought. So I think that's what it's all about, is like, don't be afraid to like stand your ground and, lean into the trolls. And at the end of the day, it's about building engagement, right? So that conversation that you're having in these threads, I think it's a really great thing.
Well, and on some of that is because especially depending on what career you're in, you can almost be in like isolated. Like for example, like with teaching or education, whether it's higher ed or K through 12, you can tend to be in a bubble where you have no clue what's going on outside that bubble, and that may be true of like the medical field or a lot of other careers where you're so focused in on like my wife is a nurse, and she's a wonderful nurse, but like she has no clue what's going on in the tech world and what those careers look like. And so, when you're coming into something that's completely new, you have a very superficial understanding. For example, I could say, I really love to talk to people. Maybe, and recruiters talk to people. I bet I would be a great recruiter. You don't know if you're going to be a great recruiter. You don't even know if you're going to like recruiting. You just have this very superficial understanding of what is like one activity within the role. And there's so much else that goes on with it. And I was talking to Tom last night about this, and I said, with like recruiting, can you handle 1,000 people sliding into your DMs and going, hey, and on, like, hey, I'd be great for this role. And on the other hand, you have like 250 people like spamming you with their resume going, hey, would I be good at anything at your company? And you're like, I don't know. So, there's a lot of things. And so like when it came to marketing, I had an idea that I thought I would enjoy marketing, but until you are working in that role, you have absolutely no like idea. And so that's why I think it's important for people that are career changers to like look for those freelance opportunities, those internships, or even just some shadowing to understand what the day-to-day looks like. Because, I talked to a customer success director, and a lot of people want to go into customer success. And she's like, yeah, a lot of people come, they think they want to do customer success when they start getting into it. And she goes, we went through 27 people that took roles here, and they said, customer success is not what I thought it was. And so that's why
obviously.
And so that's why I think it's important, even to get down to the, like, for instance, like if I want to understand what sales looks like, or marketing, I'm going to hit like Tom, or I'm going to hit Jesse, or I'm going to call, Eric and go, hey, can I borrow 15 minutes? Well, more than 15 minutes, but like, tell me what your day-to-day looks like. Tell me what you like about it, what you find challenging, what kind of person. So you get kind of at least a more than a service level understanding of what the role looks like. But there's so many people that are just spamming constantly about, I want to do this, I want to do that, without really understanding what the goals and objectives and what success looks like in those roles.
So, I think there's something we're talking about, which is trying to figure out the fit before they're actually in the role, before their skin's actually in the game.
Yeah.
And so, like, how do you, like, kind of like video games or simulations of whatever you want to do? Like, race car drivers race in a simulation before they ever go out on the track, and with $1 million things that they could crash into the wall.
Barrett, but many of them, actual F1 drivers are trained from 6-7 years, and they get into the game very early. They start with karting and all. Just saying.
Sorry. Yeah, but they baby step their way up. It's like, how do you, like, the phone isn't very far away from their pocket. How do you get them a call list? They could just start cold calling people straight away. Like,
you can't be an F1 driver
skills right off the bat. Like, marketing, you just, like, start a website, see if you can drive traffic to it. Like, start small.
That is an amazing example, my friend. That's an amazing example, is what I'm saying. Yeah. You have to start small, baby steps. No one's gonna let me or you or anyone, except for Josh, in an F1 car, because Josh knows everything.
Hey, every wreck I have been in has never been my fault.
Really? And fun fact. Yeah. Fun fact. Josh wanted to be a recruiter just recently.
Man, can you imagine?
That's not what I said.
Minimum viable products cold call sales is like, call 3 friends a day. Yeah. Random people, you already know them. They're already warm. Just like open up the phone contact list and just shoot them a call.
Yeah.
Different times of the day, but you have to have 3 conversations. Like, so you keep calling, so you have 3 conversations.
All right.
Hey, will you please post about that? Because I was just before this call on a call with someone awesome who's doing all this stuff right. Who's like, I want to get a job in SaaS sales. Okay. And he said to me, the way I met this person was, he said, could I pitch you like you're a recruiter who's hiring? I know you're not hiring, but could I just come after you like I'm trying to get the job? And you can be telling me how this is going and what I should do, right? And he asked me this brilliant question today that's been like sticking in my head. He goes, you know what problem I'm having is I want to practice cold calling. He's like, I had a job for 6 months doing cold calling, but I want to be right now cold calling like how I'm going to be if I'm like an SDR at Salesforce, right? And he was like, how do I get that practice? How do I get that experience if I don't have something sitting here to sell? And I was like, that is brilliant. The first thing you should do is make that into a LinkedIn post and get a bunch of salespeople ganging up on that post, giving you advice. But like, Barrett, your advice to like just pick the 3 friends a day is so much more actionable than what I was able to tell them. Because in my head, I was like, damn, dude, I don't know. Like, for me, I build a product and build an outbound and just start selling it when I want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's not live, because like at least I have like 25 people interested when I do want to go live.
Yeah, I mean, I could bring out my phone. I don't have my phone on me, but it's like, I've got random numbers that I don't even know how they got in my phone, but I could call that number and be like, hey, this is Barrett. I found your number in my contact list as I was cleaning out contacts. How are you doing?
Yeah.
Can you help remind me where we met? Like, how did your number get in my phone?
Beautiful.
And then the conversation just unravels.
Well, guys,
you're a killer, dude.
An hour now. So Jesse, as the smartest one here, why don't you give us some parting words of wisdom? And we'll meet back up next Saturday.
I will just say that everyone should remember it's profitable to do what's right in business.
Woohoo!
All right. Love it. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys being here. for our Sassy Saturdays, where we learn to live, laugh, and love. And we'll meet up next Saturday. Love you all.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.